So
Completely.
the second discovery was that collection of symptoms so common to betrayal. It's now known as post-betrayal syndrome. And like I said, we've tested over 100,000 people. Happy to share some stats. This is men, women, just about every country is represented. So as much as I want to share the stats, here are these numbers. 78% constantly revisit their experience. 81% feel a loss of personal power. If you feel a loss of personal power, think of the decisions you're going to
Right.
make. Think of the things you'll do
Yep.
or you won't do. 94% deal with painful triggers. That's, some of the most common physical symptoms. 71% have low energy. 63% have extreme fatigue. 47% have weight changes. In the beginning, you can't hold food down. Later on, you're emotionally eating. I mentioned about the gut issues. Some mental symptoms. 78% are overwhelmed.
Welcome to Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started. And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. Dr. Debi Silber is with us today. And Debi, no one knows Debi as well as Debi. So, Debi, we need the backstory. Bring us up to speed and we'll tear into the conversation.
Sure. Well, I'm in business 34 years, health, mindset, personal development. Then I had a really painful betrayal from my family. Thought I did all I needed to do to heal from that. And then it happened again a few years later. This time it was my husband. That was the deal breaker. Got him out of the house and looked at the two experiences thinking, well, what's similar here? And, boundaries were always getting crossed. I never took my own needs seriously. And I would usually go to books or courses or mentors to help me through something. And there really wasn't anything available. And this was so big that I needed to get myself out of this mess. So here I was, 4 kids, 6 dogs, a business, and I find myself enrolling in a PhD program to study it at the PhD level, really just to help me heal and to help my clients, my kids. And that study led to 3 discoveries, which changed my health, my family, my work, my life.
Awesome. That is awesome. So, we're going to be able to hear these three things, right? Good.
I'd love to share them if you want to hear them.
Okay. I
Sure.
don't want to just be teased. Okay. No,
So
so that's fantastic. Yeah, let's do the normal route. Let's start with number one.
yeah. So, if you've been through other traumas besides betrayal, you know this to be true that betrayal is a different type of experience. So, anybody who says trauma is trauma, no, it's not. Betrayal is very different. And there are so many reasons why. And this was the first discovery that betrayal is a different type of experience. Think about it. Like, let's say you lose someone you love. You grieve, you're sad, you mourn the loss, life will never be the same. You don't go back and question the relationship. You don't go back and question your ability to trust. You don't question your sanity. With betrayal, you do. Also, when you lose someone you love, or there's a natural disaster, disease, whatever it is, the invitation is to rebuild your life in a new and different way, right? Well, with betrayal, not only is the invitation to rebuild your life, there's a total shattering of the self, rejection, abandonment, belonging, confidence, worthiness, trust. And what happens is people think, okay, let me just rebuild my life. But meanwhile, if you don't rebuild the self, it is the most wasted opportunity for transformation. Another thing too is, like, let's say again, you lose someone you love. People rally. They're bringing over the casseroles. What do you need? How can I help? With betrayal, so often there's so much shame, embarrassment, humiliation for something you didn't even do. So you're struggling and suffering in silence. So here you've had one of the most painful of the human experiences, and you're acting like it's a regular Tuesday. You're going to work, showing up, raising the kids, whatever. And to make matters even worse, very often the betrayed is covering for the betrayer. They're loved, well respected by the friends, the family, the work, the community. And so now here they are. all on their own with one of the most painful experiences they could have possibly imagined. I mean, it goes on and on, but that betrayal is a different type of trauma. That was the first discovery. So really, this to say, if someone's like, I don't get it, I've been through this, why is this one with me? It's a different type of trauma that needs a different way to heal.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, I don't think people are out announcing it
Yeah,
like they do with other things.
that's
Like you
right.
said, I lost so and so,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing, that's not uncommon. This is deeper because I think now you can tell me because you're the doctor in this. I'm thinking there's a lot of the guilt is like, what did I do to
Yeah.
deserve this? And if you're looking, you might not be able to define that. A lot of times there's like, well, I did this, and this, and I get why they hate me, or did whatever. But a lot of times in these situations, I think it's hard to define the reasoning, the rationale for it, right?
Because it has nothing to do with the other person. That's the thing. One of the biggest most common things that happened is the betrayed is, if I were only thinner, prettier, richer, taller, shorter, whatever.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the betrayed. This is someone else's lack, scarcity, sense of entitlement, unhealed trauma, whatever it was. But it is one of the most common things to blame themselves. So then not only are they moving through the healing, they're taking someone else's actions as if it's their fault.
Right. That's the challenge, right? And I see that a lot. Let me ask you, because
Mm-hmm.
this isn't really off the thing, but do you ever deal with, like, I have three adopted children,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And they're always going to come to that point, whether it's at 12 or 40,
Yeah.
the abandonment. And I
Yeah.
think that falls into the betrayal category in a sense, like, why?
Yeah.
Why didn't you want, that whole thing? So does that correlate?
Oh, very much so. And so much of the healing aspect of it has to do with how it's handled. Like I'll give you an example. There was and this leads to the second discovery, that there's actually this collection of symptoms, physical, mental, and emotional, so common to betrayal. It's known as post-betrayal syndrome. We've tested over 100,000 people, but here's an example. We had a woman come in to the PBT Institute, and she was in her mid 80s, and she had a 70 plus year digestive issue. 45% of everyone betrayed has a gut issue of some kind: Crohn's, diverticulitis, IBS,
Mm.
reflux, you name it. She was adopted, they didn't tell her, something like that. So for 70 plus years, the medications, the protocols, the supplements, the foods, for her just to resign herself to the idea of, I have a bad stomach, that's who I am. 2 weeks into healing the betrayal, she healed from a 70 plus year digestive issue. That's what happened. So, two points I want to make here. Those symptoms are completely healable, but it's only when you get to the root. But to answer your question, if it's perceived that way, and it's not looked at, addressed, healed, it can absolutely feel like a betrayal
Yeah,
when that's not your intention at all.
right. Yeah. I mean, we've had them since birth, and they're loved, and they know they're adopted. There's
Sure.
none of that stuff, So
Yeah, yeah,
we have that. But I think so I have six kids, three are adopted, and they're siblings,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
So,
beautiful.
but my youngest, the one of the siblings, it's interesting because she's the first one to go, why?
Mm,
My other kids, like, because we asked when they turned 18, like, well, do you want to see what? No,
yeah, yeah,
we're good. We know who we are,
yeah,
and she's got those questions. So, and I never thought of it in the betrayal sense,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's interesting. It's very interesting. And I like that you tie these physical symptoms to this,
Hmm.
and that there's healing by correcting this, because I know the power of this kind of stuff. And I think it's pretty unique, because people don't go that direction. I mean, our medical system is not trained to do that.
Yeah, they
So,
medicate and suppress.
right.
And again, this was something the research just proved. So, when the research just kept showing up with this, like, how do I keep this to myself? Like, not only are these symptoms caused by betrayal, and I'm happy to share what they are, there's a proven, predictable, research based way to move through all of it and become a version of you that is so strong, so healthy, so healed, so whole because of what happened. And why people just try to get to where they were is a lost and missed opportunity. First of all, the who you were doesn't exist anymore. So,
Right.
there's no, the baseline is a very different experience, and the opportunity. And I know when I talk about betrayal and opportunity, now everybody thinks I'm crazy, but it's really true. And
Well,
we have our certification program. I've certified so many, therapists, coaches, counselors, and they see it too with everybody that comes into their world. It's a gigantic and often missed opportunity, the
yeah,
transformation that's waiting for you afterwards.
yeah, I think more people need to think of that as opportunity. I think
Mhm.
I got all kind of, I can tell stories all day long of trauma and abuse and this and all the stuff I've been
Yeah.
through, but like I you look back now, I'm like, I don't know if I'd change it
Yeah.
because of what overcome. I'm like, it's part of the new you, but I have that as a, it's just a point. It's just a, you know, a point in the whole journey that has strengthened me and stuff like that. I get it. Some people get stuck
Yeah.
and then they're on the hamster wheel of that. And that's what you need to help with,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying I'm perfect or, totally think we all got issues, but I love that there's a, I'll call it documented, you
Hmm.
know, peer reviewed. You've done the studies. You had these results. Like that is, it's not it's not uh witch doctor stuff.
No, I
Okay,
mean,
so
this is,
that's what's awesome.
yeah, thank you. And it just, that's why when these discoveries showed up, I mean, it was just, you just saw it. It was right there. It was that, and a lot of people aren't going to like this either. Staying stuck has become a choice,
Yep,
and
yep.
not a good one. And yes, you have your story, but the story that you can have when you move through it is so much better. Like, look, I had a really powerful story. Most important people in my life all betrayed me. And if I told you my story, you'd give me sympathy and feel bad for me. But look at the story I have now,
Right. Yeah.
with, so it's way better. But we don't know that if we don't know that the second discovery that, well, actually all three, that betrayal is different. And if you're treating it just like every other trauma, well, that's why you're not healing. Two, about these symptoms known as post-betrayal syndrome, they do not heal on their own. We've all heard time heals all wounds. I have the proof
No.
that when it comes to betrayal, that's not true.
Right.
There's even a question on the a quiz that says, is there anything else you'd like to share? And people write things like, my betrayal happened 35 years ago. I'm never trusting again. My betrayal happened 40 years ago. I can feel the hate. So we know you can't count on time. You can't even count on a new relationship to heal it. Healing needs to be deliberate and intentional. Um,
I think what's amazing, what I mean, how hard is it to get them unstuck because they're in it
mhm.
and they've lived it, it becomes
Yeah,
their identity. That's the issue. And
yeah,
changing identity is a very difficult thing.
yeah,
So do they have to hit that pain point where they then come ask like this is it, or they're just asking why, or like what does that look like from a
yeah.
diagnosis standpoint?
You're talking about actually the third discovery, and what we
I
learned
always get ahead
was,
of myself. Go ahead.
yeah, was that while we can stay stuck for years, decades, a lifetime, and most people do, if we're going to fully heal, we will move through five proven predictable stages. And what's even more exciting about that is we know what happens physically, mentally, and emotionally at every stage. And
Mhm.
we know what we need to do in order to move from one stage to the next. Healing is entirely predictable. So, what you're saying, and it's actually the title of my most recent book, Unstuck, is when someone is stuck, they're in the most common stage. Most people get stuck in that stage three. And happy to share the stages if you want to hear them.
Yeah, let's hear them because this is good because I think just sometimes just hearing these, you go, oh, I'm in two,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I think that's the first step,
Well, yeah, because you can't change what you're not aware of. And
right?
and this is why, I certify brilliant therapists and counselors and coaches, but they never knew about the 5 stages. We didn't know about it. So they were coaching. Their great tools are falling so flat because if it's offered even at the wrong stage, the person isn't ready to receive it. So when somebody knows the stages, now they can effectively coach someone through it. And it's even from the standpoint of, this is what I love even more than someone, let's say, coaching in betrayal. Like, I'll certify a business coach, and the business coach is coaching someone on confidence. The betrayal may have been 10 years ago, but the person is trying to make more money in their work and be more successful, but their confidence was shattered. Now, that business coach was using great tools, but now when they know it's a betrayal issue, the confidence was shattered because of the betrayal, you see? So now they know, oh, if I really want to get that person's confidence back up, it's a whole different protocol I'm doing here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Awesome.
Happy to share the stages.
Yeah,
So
let's hear them.
yeah. So stage one is abbreviated version. Stage one is before it happens. And here's where, when you think you're in a healthy relationship with a partner, with a boss, with a coworker, whoever, you're not scanning for betrayal. You're doing the things in a relationship, assuming the person is abiding by those spoken or unspoken rules. And also, because we're busy, raising kids, we're working, all the things, we kind of turn down our intuition a little bit because it takes more time to feel. So if we're just thinking and doing, it's a little, we get more done than if we're feeling and being, right? So that's why we're shocked when we're betrayed. Also, we see this too, where people were intentionally and unintentionally turning down their intuition. And this is really, and I don't want anybody to feel bad if they're doing this. And we do this because if we were to confront that person on what our intuition is telling us, we may cause a whole shakeup and breakdown of everything we've created. And we may not have the mental, the emotional, the financial bandwidth to take that on. So that's why it's such a shock to us. Also, here's where trust is shattered too. This is what makes betrayal so different too. We have this system that we create to discern trustworthiness, right? Like, if somebody says or does something repeatedly, consistently, 50, 100 times, I can deem them trustworthy, right? And we put the stamp of approval, they're trustworthy. And now that person betrays that trust. Not only is that so shocking and heartbreaking, what's even more terrifying is we look at it saying, uh-oh, my whole system I created here is broken. I can't trust my system. My compass is broken, you see? So again, well-meaning, well-intentioned therapists, counselors, coaches say, oh, you need to learn to trust again. Start with something small. No, you can't trust in someone else yet. You have to rebuild your whole compass, you see?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, we get to stage 2, shock, trauma, D-Day, discovery day. This is the scariest of all of the stages. And it's the breakdown of the body, the mind, the worldview. You've ignited the stress response right here. You're headed for every single stress-related symptom, illness, condition, disease. You're confused, you're shocked, you're overwhelmed, you're blindsided. The bottom has bottomed out and the new bottom hasn't been formed yet. So it's terrifying. But think about it. If the bottom were to bottom out on you, what would you do? You grab hold of anything or anyone in order to stay safe and stay alive. That's stage 3. Survival instincts emerge. This is the most practical out of all of the stages. Here's the trap, though. This is by far, this is the stage everyone gets stuck in. And here's why. First of all, it feels so much better than the shock and trauma you just came from. So you think it's good. And because you don't know there's anywhere else to go, you don't know there's a stage 4 or stage 5. So you plant roots here, right? You're able to go back to work. You're able to create a functional life, but it's flat. It's behind walls. It's like, yep, I'm doing this, but don't ask me to trust again. Don't ask me to be vulnerable again. Mm-mm. Here's also where it's the biggest missed opportunity in coaching, because the person is quote unquote fine. So they say to their coach, I think I'm fine now. And the coach It's like, okay, I guess we're done. They're like, I don't get it. My tools work for everybody else, not for this client. And meanwhile, fine only means stage three.
Right.
Right. So when they learn that, they're like, "Oh, if I tell you how many coaches are saying, if I tell you how many people I let go in stage three, they deny themselves the most fun part of coaching, the transformation,
Right.
and the most financially rewarding too, right? And the referrals and everything else. Anyway, um, if that person is willing, willingness is a big word right here, grieve more than the loss, bunch of things they need to do. They move to stage four. Stage four is finding and adjusting to a new normal. So here's where you acknowledge, I can't undo what happened, but I control what I do with it. Very forward moving. What do I need now? What was I settling for? Who am I now ready to become? What have I outgrown? Right. And it's very intentional. A lot of hard work, but in the way of creating something entirely new, outgrowing old systems and people and like if there's just someone you're just talking to week after week and you're feeling heard and validated and understood, here's where you're like, that's not making any sense. I need to move forward. Or let's say you're trying to work it out with a betrayer who has no intention of changing. You're like, nope. That like lame support group that you're just it's keeping you stuck. You're like you're done.
Right.
So you're moving forward. And then when we settle into this space, we make it kind of mentally home. We move into the fifth most beautiful stage, and this is healing, rebirth, and a new worldview. The body starts to heal. Self-love, self-care, eating well, exercise. We didn't have the bandwidth for that earlier. New levels of health, new businesses, new passion projects, new relationships, either with the person who hurt them in a very different way or with someone entirely new. We weren't ready for any of that when we're stuck in stage three. So when you're in stage five, you have intentionally and deliberately rebuilt yourself.
Yeah, that's great. I think that in the stage five and just intention in itself, I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
huge lack of that in general in the world. People
Takes a
are
lot of
just,
work.
they're just drifting.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, they don't have any purpose. They don't,
Yeah.
and they have total control of that.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah.
they act like they're waiting for it. When you know you develop it, you create it, you choose the targets and you go after them. So I can see how that correlates really, really well. And I have found too, just like anxiety, action alleviates anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're moving, once you make a decision, because I find that just this is obviously not betrayal, but it's if you can make a decision, anxiety goes away.
Yeah.
It's really the inability to make a decision.
Yeah.
So you live in it. And I don't know if that crosses over into that because till you decide, like, I have to, or I think what you just did with those the five stages is the ability to define where you're at.
Yeah.
Because then you can make a plan. I think if you don't understand where you're at, and like you said, no one can help you because they can't identify. If I'm drinking a 750 bottle of alcohol every day, something like someone can go, I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
So they
And
can they
that's
can address that. Right.
common to stage three. There were actually three groups in the study who did not heal. The first was they were numbing, avoiding, distracting. So maybe they ran to the doctor who put them on a mood stabilizer, anti-anxiety medication. They were emotionally eating, drinking, numbing in some way. It may have made the day a bit easier to get through, but they didn't heal. The second group, they had their story and they were sticking with it. They were deeply, deeply rooted in stage three. And the third group, this was the group where the betrayer had very little consequences. So whether it was out of financial fear, religious reasons, that was a big one, not wanting to break up a family, whatever it was, they just tried to put it behind them without really the betrayer having any consequence at all. And I saw two things with this group. Number one, a further deterioration of the relationship. And two, this group by far was the most physically sick with symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome. A broken
So
heart can't handle that.
so they didn't heal because they weren't addressing it, right? I mean, they either didn't identify it or, I mean, they got in the group for a reason. But is this those that go, but they're kind of showing up, they're checking the attendance, but they're not doing any of the work.
Or
What
not
what
even, this was, they were so afraid of the crash and burn of the old. And that's the only way you rebuild the new,
right,
whether it's a new you or a new you with a very different betrayer who is completely changed as well. Betrayal will show you who someone truly is. It also has the opportunity to wake them up to who they temporarily became. You don't need to do anything with it, but there's tremendous opportunity if you do.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I get where people, I have a few, I always say like about motivation. You can't motivate the unmotivated.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a motivational conference, the only
Yeah.
people there are motivated people.
Yeah.
There's no one who's not motivated who goes to that because you can't do it. You have
Mm-mm.
to be, those who are motivated want more motivation. Those
Yeah.
who are healthy want more health.
Right.
More energy. I want more energy. I got a lot
Yeah.
of energy. I want more energy.
Yeah.
John kind of sees that way until you can make that flip, then you can't, if you want to, you know, heal from this, if it's been identified, you get it, like you're going to do it,
Yeah. Well,
you
that
know?
they're more tied to their trauma than their transformation.
Yeah. I
And
think it becomes their identity.
definitely does. That's all stage three stuff. And that's why it's so hard to leave stage three. And because they don't know there's anywhere else to go, what happens is they wind up medicating, suppressing symptoms, numbing, avoiding, distracting. So once they do that, they do it for a day, a week, a month. Now it's a habit, a year, 10 years, 20 years. I can see someone 20 years later and say, that drinking you're doing, do you think that has anything to do with your betrayal? They look at me like I'm crazy. They say it happened
Right.
20 years ago. All they did was put themselves in stage three and stay there.
Yeah. It's, and then it's perpetuated. And this isn't a soapbox, but you're watching these ads on TV for every antidepressant. They're
Mm,
telling you, and they're
yeah.
got the sunshine coming in when you're all medicated and you're looking
Yeah.
out the window and everything's better. Like you,
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's here. I just stopped watching TV. I
Yeah.
can't handle seeing these things. Like, you're just, it's like you said, it's masking, it's
That's
suppressing.
all. Yeah.
This is it. And it's terrible, So yeah, I just really, I'm encouraged. Okay. That there's a real structure, there's a real path, there's real
Mm-hmm.
identification, and
Yeah.
there's true healing. Cause I'm a cause guy.
Mm-hmm.
I look for the cause. I need to go to
Yeah.
the root. I'm not a symptom person.
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
look past those because those are just little indicators. No, those are the flashing lights, but they're not what made it flash.
Yeah.
Right. So
Well,
it's
that's
really,
that's the thing. Like how in the beginning, I was telling you about that 80 something year old woman,
mhm.
right? The cause was the betrayal. She was treating everything else.
Right.
Nothing
Exactly.
healed until she got to the real issue, which was the
Yeah.
betrayal.
Yep. Yeah. It's critical. So we stay. Can we do two? We did one. I kind of jumped a little bit into three.
Yeah, yeah,
So let's
sure.
let's let's dive into two so we can make sure we
Yeah.
get all three in here
So the
completely.
second discovery was that collection of symptoms so common to betrayal. It's now known as post-betrayal syndrome. And like I said, we've tested over 100,000 people. Happy to share some stats. This is men, women, just about every country is represented. So as much as I want to share the stats, here are these numbers. 78% constantly revisit their experience. 81% feel a loss of personal power. If you feel a loss of personal power, think of the decisions you're going to
Right.
make. Think of the things you'll do
Yep.
or you won't do. 94% deal with painful triggers. That's, some of the most common physical symptoms. 71% have low energy. 63% have extreme fatigue. 47% have weight changes. In the beginning, you can't hold food down. Later on, you're emotionally eating. I mentioned about the gut issues. Some mental symptoms. 78% are overwhelmed. 62% can't concentrate. So imagine that you can't concentrate.
Wow.
You have a gut issue. You're exhausted. You're going to work. You're raising the kids, right? Acting like it's a regular day. That's not even emotionally. Um, 88% experienced extreme sadness. 83% are very angry. Think about bringing that into your workplace,
Yeah.
right? You're a
Yeah.
risk. Now you're a risk.
Yeah.
A few more. This one killed me. 84% have an inability to trust. Again, this will not heal on its own. So
Wow.
if you don't trust, how's that going to affect every relationship you have going
Yeah.
forward?
That's deep.
right?
I mean, you won't
60,
have any relationships.
you won't, you can't. It's behind
Yeah.
walls. 67% prevent themselves from forming deep relationships because they're afraid of being hurt again. Big wall goes up. They're like, I'm keeping everyone at a distance. That's deep stage 3. 82% find it hard to move forward. 90% want to move forward, but they don't know how, which is exactly why I speak on this every single day.
Right. That's pop, man. Those are those are all like 70% plus.
You know what's even
Except
more
for like one, I
staggering?
think.
Yeah, you didn't hear me say 20, 30%. They're super high. They're also, this is the craziest part, they're also not necessarily from a recent betrayal. This
Right.
could be from the parent who did something awful when you were a kid. This could be from the partner who broke your heart in high school. So think of this, that person may not know, care, remember, they may not even be alive. And here you are decades later because it was left unhealed, because you lived a stage 3 life. And the good news is you can heal from all of it by moving through the stages.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that. I mean, I know about like grief. I've even had some people who are really like they do what you do with grief.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool
Yeah.
because I tied that into business. I said,
Mm-hmm.
so if they're suffering from this unresolved grief,
Yeah.
how does that affect their business?
Yeah.
And their family and this whole thing. It's the same, and you talked about it already, but I'm just saying, like, people don't understand that it's not just a relationship killer.
Oh,
Like,
no, no.
like him, it's this this encompasses everything you do every day. It affects decisions, right? How you react to things, how you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking strategically,
Yeah.
like your forward thinking is
Oh,
all
oh,
skewed.
all of it. And that's why I speak in companies, because they're bringing in people to speak about stress or trust or
Mm-hmm.
psychological safety. I mean, at the root of that is all betrayal. So, if they're looking at it like they want to boost morale and productivity and their bottom line, and someone is sitting here with these statistics that I just shared, they're not being creative. They can't think straight. These are the most expensive employees you have too, because they all have stress related symptoms, illnesses,
Right.
conditions that your company's paying for, right? And then think about this. Then they say, oh, we have our EAP program, our wellness program. We're going to get you a therapist. Again, well meaning, that therapist, that's all
Right.
stage 3.
Yep. Yep.
So,
So let me ask you, because this is interesting. Now, if you're going to take whatever your group is,
mm-hmm,
5 people, 5,000 people, whatever it is,
mm-hmm,
right?
yeah.
Like, do you find a high percentage of betrayal in just about everybody, or is it's not? But I mean, what's the number there? Like in an
Yeah.
average person, like what are you seeing?
It's a great question, but it's almost like me going into a bar saying, what's the percentage of people who drink?
Right,
It's
right,
like people coming my way.
right. I mean, it's all levels, right? I mean, you got little betrayal, you got big betrayal, but
It's all
how
different. Yeah.
and but is it all just affecting people differently? I know you have the stages, but that's kind of the process they're going through.
Mhm.
Does I don't know if there's such thing, a small betrayal become a large betrayal
Yeah,
over time,
it's
or how does
not
it grow?
necessarily, yeah, it's a great question. Not necessarily that it has to become a large betrayal, but that meaning that could have been made from it can put someone in stage 3 for life. I'm going to give you a silly little example and you'll see it at work. Let's say there's a little kid, the 8-year-old boy, and he has some earth shattering news to share with mom. And he races into the kitchen and she's on the phone. So she shushes him, shh, 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 right there at that very moment, he could have made that mean, I don't matter. Now, what we feed grows. So now he feeds that. He's older. He's driving. He gets cut off in traffic. Someone accidentally closes a door on his face. You see, and now he's building up the I don't matter. I don't matter. You
Hmm.
see,
Yeah.
so he's going to live a stage 3 life, suppressing and managing these symptoms of anger. Why was I passed up for the promotion? Whatever it is, right? All based on a misinterpretation. You see?
You know what? I was having this conversation the other day, and I think this little black box called the phone. Imagine when you're two and your dad or your mom is always scrolling.
Mm,
You're trying to get their attention. You play. That's
yeah.
that heightened time, and they're scrolling. You're second. You're second. Now you're four. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're still second. We've had these long enough now
Mm-hmm.
So what does the kid adapt? Everyone else
Yeah.
becomes second. So it's that I love that the way
Yeah.
you show that, because like with mine, I'm like, you no, put that thing down. Like
Yeah.
that's number one. Okay.
Yeah.
Your child is
Once
number one.
that meaning has been made,
Yeah.
if that's not uncovered and dealt with, that little boy is going to live a stage 3 life
Yeah. It's
just because of that.
and it doesn't mean like they're, you know, drop everything every time. There's discipline and there's
Of
stage,
course.
all that. But it's like it's that lack of attention
Mm-hmm.
when the attention is wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
you're just doom scrolling, and you literally have a child, you're your child in the room, and you're not engaging with the child. I'm
Yeah.
just like, that's hard
Yeah.
for me. I'm just like, man, you gotta like, but again, it's interesting to see this, how we can come from something as small as that,
Yeah.
that's then stacked,
Mm-hmm.
so
Right.
it's things again. This is, to me, I will go back to being intentional as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be very intentional.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't. I mean, and they're stressed. Hey, we have double income. We're working. We're all working. We're trying to make it. We're doing the stuff, and maybe it's super difficult, but it's, that's something you have to be very intentional about, because you're the only one who can do that.
That's it. Yeah. And I remember when I was going through this, sitting down with each of my kids and listen, I'm not going to judge anybody for doing this any way they want to, but my husband was actually the one who told my kids. So I think the reason why he changed to the level that he did, and just to close the loop on my story, healing is always a choice, whether you rebuild yourself and move along. That's what I did with my family. They were deeply stuck in stage 3. Or if the situation lends itself, if you're willing, if you want to, you build something from the ground up new after the death and destruction of the old. And that's what I did with my husband. Not long ago, as two completely new people, we married each other again. New rings, new vows, new dress, and our 4 kids is our bridal party.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
Never would I have done anything like that if
That's
he
awesome.
didn't completely change in me too. That's the opportunity.
Right.
Hardest thing I've ever done. And I've been in the ICU for 11 days, so I know hard. This
Yeah.
was harder. Um, but that's the thing. But get back to your question, I sat with each of my kids saying, this has nothing to do with you. You're seeing me crash, but don't interpret this that it has anything to do
Right.
with you. And you're seeing me
Right.
crash, you're going to see me rise. I have no idea how, but you're seeing this on the ground floor. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, but so in your situation, I'm going to just say
mhm,
there's, there's a level of self-awareness that a lot of people don't have.
mhm.
Okay. Whatever that, either it's part of your makeup already, and I'm not putting you up on a pedestal here. I'm just saying that like you need a certain degree of self-awareness to do what you and your husband did, because that's not a normal thing.
Yeah, and
So I wish
I
it was.
going through it, it's really interesting because years ago I would have looked at anybody rebuilding something like that, then thinking, well, wow, what are they doing? But I was in it, and I know it would have been so much easier just to walk away and call it a day. And we did. And that was my intention. But that was the opportunity for me to learn the stages, discover them, move through them, for him on his own to say, what in the world was I thinking? To grow and change and become someone worthy of who I had become, and getting to know each other all over again based on these two new people that we were.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. I got to tell you, good for you guys. I mean
It's
and it's both of you doing the work. I mean, I
yeah,
think that's the other
and
thing yeah, I
it,
just think the other thing people have to understand is I tell young couples they just get married. So I just go, well, marriage is work. And they go, oh yeah, we know. I go, forever.
mhm,
It's work
yeah.
forever. I go, it's always work. You got to work on it all the time. That's how you maintain relationships. So it's work. Even when things
Oh,
get broken,
hardest,
it's work to fix.
the hardest thing ever. And the freedom of it was knowing that it's now about me and who I'm ready to become. And I have no idea who I'm going to be. And that was just up to me. And this is what's terrifying for so many couples because they're so afraid to outgrow their betrayer. I get it,
Yep.
but you deny yourself that opportunity. I mean, that's the reason why I founded National Forgiveness Day, September 1st. I'm like, this deserves its own holiday because it's hard.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
in 08, 09, economies are crashing and I'm losing my business and I'm losing my home and the whole thing, right? And my business was who I was. This is just an
Mhm.
identity marker, right? Like
Yeah.
it was, and and to correlate this with what with betrayal and everything else,
Mhm.
when what you do becomes your identity, you make all kinds of bad decisions to
Mm.
maintain that identity.
Yeah.
So it goes with what you're saying. When they're in it and it becomes who they are, all your decisions are skewed.
Yeah.
They're the majority are not good decisions. And I
Yeah.
look back, I was like, because I woke up one day and said, I'll never let my business be who I am. And I burned
Yeah.
uniforms and I did. I mean, I had the complete like, and I haven't touched what I did
Yeah.
for whatever it's been 17 years, 18 years. I
Yeah.
won't do any of it. I won't be, and because I just that identity was going to destroy my kids' future, and I saw the
Yeah.
whole thing,
Yeah.
So I totally understand how people can get this betrayal aspect and carry it with them, let it become who they are. And
Mhm.
now it's a life of not good decisions. Okay.
That's it.
They're going to hold them back. Again, I think what's amazing about it is you don't have the ability to think strategically.
Mhm.
Well, you do, but it'll be for the wrong reasons. Right.
Yeah.
You'll be putting up the barriers all the time instead of clearing the road so you can move forward.
And that's what people do, and that's okay. But for me, the everything crashed. That was it. The old me was gone. The old relationship was gone. The old everything was gone, and I was going to be there for my kids and clients. And I'm a highly sensitive empath, and integrity is my highest value. So it wasn't even enough for me to heal. It's like if I'm finding a way through this, I'm taking everybody with me. So at least I can justify all this pain.
Yeah. Well, and obviously you have,
Yeah.
right. So, I mean, that's what I mean. I like, it's the whole kind of rising Phoenix story. I mean, and I think there's a lot of value personally to hitting that bottom.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of value to that. I had to lose everything. And
Yeah.
I look back and go, that's the only thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
If anything else would have happened, if I would have got through that, it would happen later, probably. But like that was the time. I had 6 kids under 4 years old at the
Yeah.
time. Man, losing mom, like it was the end,
Yeah.
right? But it had to be. That's the only thing that would
Yeah. It
made
cracks you
me.
open,
Yeah,
cracks you right open.
it's so I just well, I go I then I wasn't saying it's awesome, but now I can look back and go it's the only thing.
Yeah.
So it's good when you have that discovery.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
really good.
that's why. I mean, when I share the 5 stages with people, when we're working with people, it's like, yeah, you have your story of what happened to you, but my gosh, do you have any idea of the story you can have?
Right.
I mean, and not just me, all my coaches, all the people we've moved through the 5 stages are all living proof. Like this could be, it doesn't have to be your whole life story. It could be a defining chapter,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
I wrote a best-selling book because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so like there's lots of things you can do with
Yeah.
it. Like my failures are one of my greatest coaching tools.
Mm,
You can use that, you can identify that, you can see it and
yeah.
use it. So it's a really, really powerful step. So I really appreciate that a lot. Okay. So we did 1 and 2. We're going to dive into 3.
Yeah.
Or do
Three
we
was
already
the
hit?
5 stages.
Okay. 3's 5 stages. Okay. So
Yeah.
we covered that good. So, all right, let's go now. What's next? We just
Yeah.
keep going. We're going to keep rolling.
Well, what's next? I mean, I'm just here to share this message of predictable hope and healing and transformation. Like, don't just settle for fine. You didn't go through everything you went through just to be fine.
That's a horrible word, by the way. That's
Yeah.
right up there with nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine and nice. Like they
Yeah.
belong in the garbage can. Okay, like
That's
try never
it.
to use those. So, but okay. So let's go to what you're doing for. You've talked about you certified people. You do this. Let's kind of get into that
Yeah.
as we kind of come to the end of this. But let's really talk about like what, because I don't know if you developed it, you got into part
Mm-hmm.
of it, but let's kind of get the backstory on that,
Yeah.
and then
So
then what you're doing.
Yeah. So when the five stages showed up, I'm like, how do I keep this to myself? And I put it in a program, it blew up, and then everyone wanted to work with me. And I'm like, wait a second. The best way to really leverage me and get the five stages out there, we used to have a membership program working with me along with my coaches. And I was like, no, if it's really about getting these five stages into as many hands as possible, let me get this certification into as many coaches, healers,
Mhm.
practitioners, counselors, therapists hands as possible, because for everybody they come across,
Right.
that person has access to the five stages. So we actually, it's a few legs of the business. It's our certification, and also just based on so many people who are struggling in their business. We go into corporate just to no one's doing anything like this in
Right.
business or talking about it. So
Right.
bringing this into corporate, just saying, like, really letting them know how much more powerful their workforce could be if they healed. you know
Right. Yeah, that's leverage. So
yeah.
what you do is you leverage it, and I love that because I see too many air quote coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They either get the one person coach or
Uh-huh.
they have a few coaches on it, but there's no control, no real structure. It's all kind of
Yeah.
free flowing. So it's going to be good for a while. Then it's not good. Then they're getting their own
Mm-hmm.
clients, and it's a management nightmare,
Yeah.
is what it is. So you're certifying the tools and let them do their thing.
Well, they already have great tools.
Right.
They're not trained in the five
Well,
stages.
yeah. Well,
So that's what
I'm
I'm
considering
bringing.
that a tool.
Yeah, yeah.
Trained in the five stages is another tool.
That's it.
Yeah,
So
like,
now that business coach, that executive coach, that health coach, like, for example, a health coach is helping somebody with, let's say, gut issues.
mhm.
And now all of a sudden, when that health coach is certified in the five stages as well, now they realize, oh, yeah, we can talk about the gut issues, and they know what questions to ask to get to the root of it. So now think about how that person truly heals.
Yeah, they don't just give them a kombucha. You know, but this is all good. So I
Yeah.
love it. But that's a big deal because yeah, the gut, we could do a whole show on the gut stuff for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but all the ramifications from that.
Yeah.
But to know that, like, people need to, again, I said this in the beginning, but that the emotional healing of that is always connected to the body.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talk about cortisol levels and all this kind of stuff and stress, anxiety. There's a total correlation, and all of it is, I'll just call it lifestyle related,
Mm-hmm.
because even betrayal, that's a lifestyle. If it becomes you, right, it becomes your identity. It's a lifestyle. So it's what we eat, how we deal with stress, with anxiety, with betrayal. All this stuff is, so it's the real, again, back to causes and roots. It's
Mm-hmm.
really the way that you heal 85% of chronic illness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
The
through
issues
things
are in
like
the
this.
tissues.
Yeah.
Has to be
Yeah.
somatic, body based as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, really awesome. I love it. I think that's a big takeaway for people. Like, they don't consider it because, again, they're so inundated with take a pill. It's just covered. Oh, I hate it. But that's so awesome. So what's the future for you and your business?
It's really I'm a big believer in, you leave the world better than you found it. If I can't prevent betrayal, I just want every practitioner working with clients to know the tools that can truly predictably help them through it. Whether
That's
we
awesome.
bring this into companies, through my books and podcasts, individuals, or just the coaches and practitioners, there's a way to heal from all of it. And I'm just going to do all I can to just have as many people know how to do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how do people get in touch with you? How do they begin the process?
Thank you. Everything is at the PBT, is in post betrayal transformation, the PBTinstitute.com.
Nice. And I like the word institute. It just sounds, you got the doctor, you got the institute, you got the whole package. That's awesome, Debbie. So, but this has been great. This has been super informative. Really, really a quality conversation. I appreciate you for that. Really bringing useful application to what you do, and I just want to encourage people to give this some thought and kind of find those identifiers. Man, look at those stages. Review this. Maybe listen to it again, and reach out to you and stuff and see if they're actually suffering from this. Because it can do so many things for their future, for their lives, their relationships, and everything else. Super powerful. So I love it. So thank you for taking the time today just to be with us. This has been fantastic. And
Thank
for
you so much.
you bet. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover where your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.